Hey, so my challenge these days is to try and keep my broadcast down to under 20 minutes or 6 hours. I write probably as prolifically as I speak, so this is really a challenge. So today, this particular video blog, one of the things I want to talk about is how to make the most of these aspects. So right now, much to the relief of more than a few of us, Saturn and Uranus, but mostly Saturn, is finally leaving Sagittarius, and Uranus is in those last degrees of Aries. Oh my God, which means that soon it too will get out of Dodge and leave those of us with planets in late degrees of cardinal signs alone. And given that Uranus's entry into Aries has done absolutely nothing except give me massive amounts of insomnia, I'm okay with that. Okay, so Saturn and Uranus making their final trine in fire signs, and it doesn't seem like it's a lot unless you have planets there, right? But here's the thing, we can totally use this energy to our advantage. We just need to understand the nature of the planets and how to get the most out of them. So Saturn, we know, has everything to do with structure and planning and goal setting and priorities and commitments, really being serious about what it is that we want and where we're trying to go and how we're going to get there. Saturn tests metal, right? Because Saturn doesn't let you just have it because it's so generous. Saturn is the least generous planet in the zodiac or the solar system. But as a result of its stinginess, what Saturn does is it forces you to become a lot more resourceful and a lot more efficient and conscientious about the resources that you are working with. So what Saturn actually does is what it doesn't give you in terms of stuff to work with, it instead gives you in terms of resiliency and the ability to do a lot with very little. And that is the absolute definition of efficiency. So there's that. Now Uranus, of course, is in Aries and has been in Aries for quite some time, much to the dismay and aggravation of many of us. And Uranus is very much the planet of rebellion and large groups of people and astrology and electricity and electronics and high-tech stuff and computers. We know all of the keywords, right? But Uranus is also the planet about visions and progress and evolution and humanity. And it is the planet and planetary energy that galvanizes us. It puts us in these unexpected situations where we must do or die. We must make a decision. And at the end of the day, like, this is it. No horsing around now. Gotta go. Got to go, right? Which is why Uranus is usually so impatient, because it sees the future and it lives with one foot in the future, and it just makes it insane having to drag through the timeline for the rest of it to catch up, or the rest of us to catch up. So Uranus in Aries, of course, Aries, impatient cardinal sign Aries, which is all about now, I want it now. Only makes that even worse. So some of the things that we have seen with the Saturn-Uranus aspect, this flowing Saturn-Uranus aspect, which goes to show why flowing is not always easier, is a lot of extremist visions of what humanity should conform to. Saturn conformity, Uranus groups and humanity, and of course Saturn and Uranus are visions and the commitment to those visions. The trine has made it very easy for people to go a bit far, in their quest for unity, or their vision of unity for the rest of us. However, what it has also done is it has offered us an opportunity to really have our personal come to Jesus moment about what we believe in and what we're willing to tolerate. So there's been a lot of good stuff that has come from this nasty, pussy boil of hatred, ignorance, and isms, racism, sexism, alienism, ageism, pick one, right? All kind of coming to a head. So, because we can now finally pop the boil, let it drain, and move on and get on with life without it. Okay? So, But what does this have to do with us? Well, what this has to do with us is Saturn is about goals and goal setting and structure and organization. Uranus is about the future and where we want to be. So I want you to take this time, if you're interested, right? This is all, manifesting magic. And I want you to think about what it is that you want in your life. If you looked forward in the future, what do you want your life to look like if anything were possible? Anything. Right? So maybe in your vision of the future, like you have this fantasy or this image of you living in like Mallorca, Spain, right? With a very rich spouse. And you've got nothing but time on your hands to garden and cook or windsail or whatever, right? So whatever those things are, no matter how fantastical and unbelievable they seem, I want you to go ahead and like really envision it, right? Everything. And when you get done that, here's the catch. It's not about the stuff. What you're going to do is you're going to go back and you're going to look at these things and you're going to say to yourself, what do these things really mean to me? So when we talk about, for instance, classic one is the rich spouse, right? Everybody wants a rich spouse. So when we say, I want a rich spouse, like, what does that really mean? Okay. And if you dig deep, the reason we want a rich spouse usually has nothing to do with money and everything to do with what it represents. So having a rich spouse might mean being able to have status, have greater status than we started with, or greater status than our peers, or having as much status as our peers. It might have to do with feeling valued. Look, I'm so valued, I'm so valuable that somebody with this much resources can afford me, right? It could be about support. Being able to have somebody in your life that can offer you unconditional support because it's literally no inconvenience whatsoever for them to support you because they've got all the resources they could possibly need. So sure, you want it, we'll take care of it. Or it could be about not being in struggle anymore. Having somebody who is so competent, life competent, that you don't have to worry about being in constant financial struggle with them in constant financial struggle at the same time, Or it could just be like, honestly, like if we're really honest about it, it could just be about you not wanting to take responsibility for anything. It could be you wanting to be a perpetual child and leaving somebody else responsible for everything. And listen, you don't have to tell anybody else what those things are, what they represent to you. Only you need to know what these things are and what they represent to you. So whatever your reasons are for wanting the things that you want, the house in Mallorca, Spain, the rich spouse, the Pulitzer Prize, the TEDx, speaker of the year, whatever it is, it's okay, but you have to get underneath all of that and figure out what that is about. Once you've done that, then you use the Saturn energy and you say, okay, if this is what I want in my life and this is what it's going to bring me, status, respect, and feeling valued, feeling secure, whatever, like what do I need to have in my life, to incorporate in my person, to be more of who I am, to attract that to myself, right? So here's an example of what I'm talking about. Say, we'll go back to the rich spouse, right? So say I want a rich spouse, and I want a rich spouse because I want someone who's going to be able to unconditionally support me, right? So, one of the things that's going to happen is in order for me to pull that into my life, clearly, in order for me to pull that type of person into my life, I need to be like so complete and so secure with myself and my visions of what I want in my life and how things are going to get done that I could live without them. I don't need them, right? Because people who are, it's just like a bank. They don't want to lend you money unless you have money. People never want to give you support unless you're so confident in what you're doing that you don't actually need their support, right? Go figure. So it's the same thing. So if this is what you're looking for in terms of a partner, you need to have that together in yourself to pull it in because other people are mirrors. What we're pulling in is literally a reflection of the relationship that we're having with ourselves. Think about that. So if you're not in a really loving relationship with yourself and you don't feel good about yourself and you don't feel like you deserve, security or support, or even just basic decency, you're going to pull in people who will also not give you those things. Because the people who would give you those things, you're not going to be comfortable around because you don't know how to have those feelings for yourself on your own. So if you don't have it in yourself, it's hard to recognize it in other people. So the things you do recognize seem familiar to you. Unfortunately, the things that you're recognizing that seem familiar are not good things. So this is why we need to incorporate these things into ourselves first to pull it in, right? So we take Saturn and now we set up a plan, right? This is where I'm at, this is what I want, and this is how I'm going to get there with the least amount of resources available. Because these are not about things, these are about qualities within ourselves, right? So the business is never about business. The business is always about, the business is always about